Right. The Eber de Monterinian. So what do we say? One of the novelties of the Torah is that the highest levels, namely Anochi Hashem Elokecha, came down to the lowest, even to murderers. Don't kill, don't steal. And similarly, the same type of thing. The reason that a person should not kill and not steal is not because his conscience tells him, but because God doesn't want him to. Because the conscience can be a fickle thing, and it can be changed and it can be altered. But if you know that you're doing what you're doing because God says so, and you have to know what really God does say. But if you do so, then it becomes a totally different world. All of your actions are different. All of your thoughts are different. Then even by just holding yourself back from, God forbid, murdering somebody cuts you off in the street, somebody cheats you, somebody whatever, holding yourself off from killing somebody, because that's what God wants, that makes the world a more godly place. It means that God becomes the king of the world. That's what the Torah happened. That's what happened in the Torah. The Torah wasn't just a book teaching people how to get out of the world and how to refine themselves and go to heaven. That's also could be true. But the main thing of the Torah is how to refine the world, how to make God revealed here. The Eber de Monterinian, and this also regarding connecting above and below, this which was given in Mount Sinai, this is hinted at in the first three words of the Ten Commandments. What are the first three words of the Ten Commandments? I am God, your God. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am God, your God. Now, these words are really not necessary. Right? God, I mean, they saw God, their souls were jumping out of their bodies. It says, I am God, your God, that took you out of Egypt. Now, this really happens to be a commandment, even though it's not said in the language of a commandment. There are some opinions that say it's not a commandment, but that's not accepted opinion. I am God, your God, was the driver to which these three words, bezeichnet und unterstreichen, they signify and they stress the three general levels that there are in God revealing himself. Elokim, the lowest level, this is the level of Elokecha. I am God, your God, but this represents Elokut, godliness, how it is in the creation. In Yeder B'Shafanish, in every creation, tut sich an a getlicha koach, has a godly power, was unplekt zich, which is revealed like the matzah from the nivra according to the creation. A cat has a different level of godliness than a dog. A different type. A dog is different than a tree. The name Elokim is plural. In Hebrew, it's plural. Elokim is plural. Like it says Elokim Kadoshim. We don't say Elohim because it's the name of God, only when we're learning. So we say Elokim. You're not supposed to take the name of God in vain. So really, you're not supposed to take the name of God, even just the word God. You're not supposed to take in English, in Hebrew, or something like that, in French and Spanish. You're not supposed to curse somebody in God's name. Right? You're not supposed to just say, a negative thing. Some people say God's name with, damn, and they say, the person's not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to take the guys. It's a big question if you could say, oh God, right? Unless you're really talking to God. Just make an exclamation using God's name. Really not supposed to do it. You're not supposed to take God's name lightly. So this is not just God's name. This is one of God's name. It's called the 7 names you're not supposed to erase. So we don't say, the reason is because this God is not a creation. He's not a being. He creates all being, right? God creates all existence. He creates all the spiritual. It's a type of being that's so real that we can't treat it like it's something like anything else in the world. Right? The God creates all being. This is incomprehensible. That's what we have to use his name in a different way so that a person wouldn't think that maybe God is like something else. It's something like a big spirit or something. So there's three aspects of God. One aspect of God there's many aspects, but the three main aspects are mentioned in the three first words of the 10 Commandments. Anochi, so to speak, is the essence of God. Havaya is the main name of God, and Elokecha, Elokim is plural. Because this aspect of God, this is the aspect of God, Velcha Tutzich, An and Bria. This is what God creates physical, all the different variations in the world. The myriads of creations, every one is different than every atom is different from every other atom. If for no other reason that every atom is in a different place. There's a lot of atoms, right? In the head of a needle. How many atoms are there, right? In a in a molecule, so they say 10, 9, who knows, whatever. But each atom is different from every atom, right? Each atom is different from every other. So there's billions. How many atoms are there? It makes no sense. That's just in this world. What about all of the stars? It's incredible. That's all of this is being created by God. That's what we believe. Everything is being created by God, and that's the aspect of God which is called plural, Elohim. We say Elohim. Zayin Faran and then Farshidna, this is the different ways that God is revealed, and every single creation is different according to what that creation is. Und der Ribra, and therefore, this name Elohim is the same numerical value, Elohim, of course, is the same numerical value as nature, Ha-Teva. Val the Bechinas un Elokus, because this aspect of godliness, tut sich an, is enclosed, or is clothed in der Bria, in the creation, was der Eberster hat sich beschränkt in Teva Gesetzen, which God had contracted into his laws of nature. Right? Once I heard two people that one sort of believed in God and one didn't. One said that the world is ruled by nature, the laws of nature, and the other one said, "Well, tell me who passed these laws of nature? Which Congress made these laws of nature? Can you rescind the laws of nature?" Was this is also the ois sprach elokecha. That's what it means. Your God, thine God. I know, like it says, Elokeinu, our God. What does it mean, our God? Was thus is their einziger Shem. This is the only name of the names of God. There's 7 names of God. It says 7 different names. The name El, the name Shaddai. This is the only one of the names which you can put a suffix on, right? Suffix Elokeinu, our God, His God, your God. These are one of the names which in the creation Elokecha means Elokim Shelcha, your God, the God which is in you, godliness. So because God, this aspect of God, I want to say creates everything differently and enlivens everything differently. Val mitzad dem was their shame batzeichen, because this name of God, which is the godly, this is again, we're talking about the first 3 words of the 10 Commandments. I am God, your God. What does it mean, your God? This level of God, godliness, which is, so to speak, contracted to, something is missing here. Oh, light, this is 2 years, according to the creations. This is above, loit, it's supposed to be above creations. Is shayach zu men soll sie beginnes angerufen mitten seichel. This is bagriffen with the seichel, because this aspect of God is an aspect which is a little bit comprehensible, right? Therefore, Ken menzogan elokecha, we can say this is your God. This is the aspect of God which is relevant to man that we can sort of understand. Right? A beautiful sunset, this, God creates the world. This is my soul. It's coming into me. I'm alive. This arouses, how do you say, an intimate relationship with God. This is my God, your God, our God. Shem, that's the lowest name of God. Okay, so the three words that begin the Ten Commandments. I am Havaya, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, your God. So your God, we explained, that's the lowest aspect of God, which, so to speak, is adapted to each and every creation because it makes every creation differently and enlivens every creation. Then. The second name that's used in the Ten Commandments is Havaya, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, B'Tzeichan. This indicates the Bechina, the Gilei, this is the level of godliness which is higher than the creation, mit Ayr Gavul as a Teva, and is out of all limitations of nature. This name of God has four letters in it, Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey. These four letters include in it all aspects of time, past, present, and future at once. Hoya Havi Havaya, this name of God, who is in Hoya Hove Uni, I'm sorry, Hoya, past, present, and future, Zain, and they are three different times of our Unati, the past and the future, Vergangenheit, in Yiddish, past and future, und they, over Hove, past, present, and future, is the three of them are totally different. Und sie können nicht sein zusammen. You can't have them together. A person can remember what was in the past, but the past is already gone, and the future hasn't come yet. And the present, that's what we're in now. So it's true that the present becomes the past, and the future is going to become the present. It's true, but the fact of the matter is that they're all separate. That's why there's separate times of past, present, and future. Oh, Bar Havaya, but the name of God is Echer from Zman. It's higher from time, and it's higher from nature. So to speak, by the essence of God, time is just a creation. It's just like one ball. It's like if you have the video on a chip, used to be on a film, and the whole thing is there. But the whole thing is there from the beginning to the end. So it's all there, right? It's all past, present, and future is all there, right? The whole entire movie is just one, just holding it. So by God, time is a creation, just like a filmmaker makes a movie. So time is a creation. So by God, past, present, and future is all one. We have no way of comprehending this. How can it be that the world already existed before it existed? What does that mean? That the future was already in the past? It was before the world existed and everything was just future. It was really in the past. This is it's just ridiculous to say anything like that. It's like something you read in some sort of a surrealistic poetry or something. Right? How can the past and the present and the future be at once? If so, it's not past, present, and future anymore. It says, well, that's because God is not understandable. This is the aspect of God that creates past, present, and future at once. Higher than time, higher than nature. Und dort is Havaya Yeh zusammen. Everything was together. I mean, just think about it 1 second. We, a human being, what's going on? All right, let's see. Maybe it'll turn off if it does. Was in them unterstreicht sich Ominous Israel. This underlines what is the faith of the Jewish people. Von Amunas Chasidi Olam, from the faith of the non-Jews. Non-Jews also have religions; they have faith. The faith of the non-Jews, right, of the rest of the world, right? The Jews are a special nation, right? Well, how are we special? What are we special? He says, look, I'll tell you. The faith of the Jewish people, the faith of it is Vesen Nor from the Shem Elokim. They know that there is the name Elokim, nature, that there's God, that He creates the world. Vos is Malubash and Teva, which is in nature, right? They can maybe be logical. You can write books about it. Elokim Yane et Shalom Paro. Like it says, the name Elohim was relevant to Paro. Paro, Hatasheichas, Paro had a connection to the name Elohim of God. But the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, Paro, who is it says the master of all mysteries and the occult and all these things, is little children could turn snakes into sticks into snakes in Egypt, and Paro was the master of all of them. He said, Mi Avaya, who is God that I should listen? When Moshe said, listen, Yud Kei Vav Kei told me to take you out, he said, who is this Avaya that I should listen to? He said, Lo Yadati, I don't know what this God is. It's above time, above space, the creator. What type of creator? By Zay, liegen sich nit up the Madriga from Elokus, was sein Hecha from Teva. By a non-Jew, it's not relevant, this godliness which is totally above and removed from nature. What does it do? What can you do with it? But you can't you can't logically understand it or imply it, or what do you get from it? I mean, nothing whatsoever. What type of benefit is it? I know that's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. This is the name of God, which is especially relevant to the Jewish people, but there's something higher. Anochi, this is what's called God's essence. Now you have to remember that this whole business we're talking about this is the God that gave the Torah. And the Torah is a very, very mundane book. We're talking about these levels of godliness with God, how he creates the world, and then there's God who's above that. Everything is one. There's all godliness. But in the end, we have to remember that this is the whole essence of this thing, is not talking about how to become super spiritual. That's also a nice thing to be super spiritual, but the essence of it is the Torah. Was in can minid but mit kein ot this, but the name Anochi, when God said, I am the Lord your God. I don't know why they call it Lord. It should be the other way around, I think. It should be, I am God, your Lord. Because Lord means that he's relevant to something. He's Lord over something. When you say God, it means that he's totally above everything. That's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. But Anochi, this is even higher. This is what's talking about the essence of God. Was im can men nit bezeichnen mit kein shum, which this you cannot signify or represent with any letter or any name or even any sort of a hint. That's what it says. Anochi mishanochi. I am who I am. The lo it's ramis mishum always for codes. I cannot be hinted at by any letter or any even. I didn't say a little sort of a top on the letter. They have these little crowns on the letters. If you look in a Torah. Does say this means this name Anochi does this hecha, this is higher, not only from the level of Elohim, nature. Gor Oich, it's an even higher from the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is higher than nature. There is nit mugbal, it's not limited to any limitations whatsoever. Not in nature and not even being above nature. So if you want to say it in simple language, which this is already getting close to, how do you say, surrealistic, God is not limited to being infinite. A person says, oh, I know God is. God is, just infinite, just out there, this amorphous, force. That's what God is. That's like in the Eastern religions. Actually, it's in all the religions. God is like way, way out there. You have to have somebody in the middle. You have to have a person or a spirit or a god or an elephant or something. You have to have something in the middle. Was therefore, Kenner for Einzig, God, this level of God can unify both nature and above nature together. Was there Gili, this revelation from Anochi? This is in the Holy of Holies, in the Holy Temple. Dort hat man gesehen, then you could see the place of the ark. There was an ark there with the tablets inside of it, but it was not measurable. You couldn't measure it. The ark took up no place. It says the ark was two and a half cubits long, and the room that it was in was 20 cubits wide. And when you measured from one end of the ark to the wall, it was 10 cubits, and from the other end of the ark to the wall, it was 10 cubits. So the ark didn't take up any place. it should have taken up 2.5 cubits, and it did. It was 2.5 cubits wide. But when you measured from one end of the wall to the other, it ended up that there was no measurement. It made no sense. It says that's exactly the point. This level of godliness of Anochi, it unifies together limit and unlimited together. Or in simple language, God wants the world to be here. The essence of God wants the world, this physical world. And there, that's why God gave the Torah. And there, Aaron says, like it says, that the ark was b'shas ma'isa gamuz zayin. It says there had to be. That's just what I said. It has to be a certain measure, 2.5 amas long, but nevertheless, it didn't take up any space in the room. And thus, that's what it means. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. That's the Anochi Hashem Elokecha by the giving of the Torah. Is gegeben gavoren. This was given. Who gave it? By Anochi. The essence of God gave the Torah to the Jews. The Torah was not given by any aspect of nature or even an aspect which is above nature. It was given by the essence of God, which is above limit and unlimited together. Can combine it all together. Velcher, which is nid, which is not. Mugbal, it's not limited in any sort of limitations. And because of this, it can, God, this essence of God, Anochi, can give the Torah and it can unify. Hecher from Teva, above nature, above consciousness of any of the creations, above the consciousness of even the angels. It can unite that with the physical world, with even the lowest things, like we said, even with a cow, or a cow, you make a sacrifice in the holy temple. You use the cow to put on tefillin. The madriga from Elokus, the level of godliness, which comes into logic, can have a little bit of understanding in the commandments. Because like we said before. So what's the whole point of this? God, we say God is one. When we say God is one, it means that all of the creation is being made by God. And one of the aspects of creation is human beings. And God wants the whole creation to be connected to him. But human beings are not like cows or something. Human beings have free will and they have emotions. And emotions are usually very egotistical. A person gets excited when you try to steal his money. If you try to steal the money of the person next to him, he also could get excited, but not that excited, not that afraid. How can a person use that excitement, that egotistical excitement, to serve the Creator? That's part of the creation. How can God do it? How does a person do it? It says that's why the God gave the Torah. God wants us to connect ourselves, to get excited about the highest aspect of his essence. And that's what gave us the ability to do this, his essence. That's the Torah. And therefore, you have to unite, and that's what the Torah did. It united the lo tirtzach, those people who want to murder. The Torah united withholding yourself from murder and withholding yourself from stealing. In this case, it's kidnapping. with the Erster Devoros, with the first commandments, namely Anochi and Lo Yelacha, namely God's essence, and that you shouldn't have any other God except for the God who creates the world and took the Jews from Egypt. Velcher Anholten, the Hechster in Yanim, which this contains the highest things in the unification of God. And that's what was given at Mount Sinai, the uniting of the spiritual, the infinite, the above nature with nature together to the essence of the creator of the whole universe. That's the Torah. And we'll talk about more later on. The Rebbe is going to say tomorrow, we're going to learn this, very interesting. It says in a Midrash that this word Anochi, I, the highest name, we said the essence of God, is really an Egyptian word. It's an Egyptian word. And we'll see what this means, God willing, tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Let's just learn a little bit of the Yom Yom. try to fix this color thing. All right, ready? Today is the 20th day of Shvat, 20th day of Shvat. There are two types of laws in this world, legal systems. One, a legal system which creates life. In other words, is against our nature, and it tells us how our nature should be. And there are laws which come from life. They come from our nature. Menschliche Gesetze in human, like a constitution or something like this, they are products of life. Therefore, in every land, they are different according to the conditions of that land. But the Torah of God, this is a godly law which doesn't come from life. It makes life. It determines what our life should be. The manufacturer's instructions. The Torah of God is the Torah of truth. The Torah is in all places and all times the same, never changes. The Torah is eternal. The Torah is infinite and eternal. Have a good day, everybody. God bless you all. And we should have we should all dance together with Mashiach now. Shalom uvracha. 3 o'clock, we learn Chumash. Attend, you'll enjoy it.